Cozy by Jan Brett. Read for you by Renee Ruiz. For Leah, Tom, Turin, and Brian Kolosky, my Alaskan family. Thank you to Mark Austin and friends at the Musk Ox Farm in Palmer, Alaska. Storms rolled over the tundra when Cozy, the musk ox, was separated from his herd. He was used to being with his family. His mother and father had named him Cozy because his silky coat was so soft and thick. Cozy braced himself against the wind, and his thick coat warmed him like a blanket. In a tussock, a mother lemming's pups were squeaking loudly. "I'm cold! I'm cold! I'm cold!" She used a triple carry to tunnel them toward a new spot where she saw a towering mountain of fur. In no time, the lemming family settled in next to Cozy's left hoof. "Shh," she whispered. "Quiet voices, and that musk ox will never notice us." Snowshoe Hare, feeling chilly, had the same idea. "Master Muskox," he asked politely, "may I wait out the storm under the protection of your very thick coat?" Cozy was happy for the company and well aware that a lemming family had snuck in. He said, "Welcome, Snowshoe Hare, but mind those lemmings. Quiet voices and gentle thumping only." Snow swirled and thump. Suddenly, all grew white. Was it a clump of snow that had hit Cozy on the forehead? No, it was feathers. When Cozy opened his eyes, he was looking into big yellow ones. The eyes belonged to a snowy owl, who also had a request. "Oh, magnificent Ummingmok, would you be so kind as to give me shelter? The wind has tumbled me terribly." Cozy knew that snowy owls and lemmings and snowshoe hares were not always fast friends. But he agreed, with some conditions. "House rules are quiet voices, gentle thumping, claws to yourself." Arctic Fox's nose was turning blue. Her bushy tail wasn't warm enough, and every time she wrapped it around herself, the wind unwrapped it. Thinking Cozy would make a good windbreak, she sidled up to him. "Do you mind, Mr. Muskox, if I unfreeze my nose in your thick fluff?" Cozy was happy to welcome a new guest, but eyeing her sharp canines, he answered, "For the harmony of all, quiet voices, gentle thumping, claws to yourself, and no biting." As winter went by, the storms grew worse. The wind blew and blew, and a low, humpy shape appeared, swaying and shuffling. Its coat was covered with ice balls. "Shaggy beast," it growled. "I fell into an ice floe and am chilled to the bone. Can you help me?" Cozy was happy to invite the Wolverine in, but added to the house rules. "Quiet voices, gentle thumping, claws to yourself, no biting, and no pouncing." Cozy's new friends cleaned their coats, preened their feathers, napped, and were glad for their comfy shelter. But then, above the wind, the animals heard yip, yip, yip. A team of huskies, always on the lookout for a good thing, barreled into Cozy's big bulk, flinging the creatures in all directions. Their musher, a sea otter, looked on in dismay. "Hi," the lead dog grinned. "House rules," chorused the jostled lemmings, Snowshoe Hare, Snowy Owl, Arctic Fox, and Wolverine. "Quiet voices, gentle thumping, claws to yourself, no biting, no pouncing, and be mindful of others." Cozy, wary of the lead dog, who looked a lot like a wolf, shook his horns to make sure the huskies understood. As time went by, the wind calmed a little, and the Arctic sun climbed higher in the sky. The animals felt more at home every day. But Cozy had spring fever. "I want to find my family. How can I move about with these visitors underfoot?" The house rules were stretched every day. When was a nibble a bite? When was a hoot quiet or loud? There was bumping, making faces, and nobody was saying, "I'm sorry." One sunny day, the lemmings were playing climb the ladder. A great chunk of Cozy's coat came off. Then another hank came off in Snowy Owl's talons. Cozy remembered this from last year. Shedding meant it was finally spring in Alaska. Hank by hank, all of Cozy's warm, silky winter coat drifted down the slope. Cozy's lodgers started heading to their spring homes. Cozy hadn't felt so free and breezy since he was a calf. He jumped, he gamboled, and then, in the middle of a gleeful leap, he saw his herd. He ran to join his mother, his father, his sister, and his brother. "Where were you? We were worried," said his sister, Fluffy. "We missed you," said his brother, Snuggly. "I made some new friends," Cozy told them. But it was nice to get back to musk ox ways. They all formed a circle, babies in the middle. But Cozy felt curiously alone. Then the breeze carried squeaky and growly and whistling voices. "See you next year, Cozy." "Meet you when the snow flies, Cozy." The Snowshoe Hare thumped, 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 as they all called, "We can't wait to get cozy with Cozy."
Honey, Honey, Lion by Jan Brett. Read for you by Mike Ferreri.
In Africa, the honeyguide and the honey badger are partners when it comes to honey. The little bird follows a bee to its hive, and then she leads the honey badger there to break it open with its big, strong claws. Together they share the sweetness, and that is the way it has always been. Maybe this day Badger was hungrier than usual. Maybe he forgot about Honeyguide, who showed him the way. Or he could have been thinking, "My strong claws do all the hard work." Whatever the reason, that day Badger would not share. Honeyguide scolded Badger as he waddled back to the jackalberry tree, his tummy almost touching the ground. She fussed and fumed as he tried to fit into his burrow. Finally she cried out for all the animals to hear, "No fair! No fair!" Soon all the guinea hens were broadcasting the news. "Honeyguide is in a major rage." But Badger didn't hear. he was sound asleep, smiling, snoring, and hiccuping from his big meal. Badger roared out the loudest hiccup of all, and its deep, low rumble gave Honeyguide an idea. The next morning, Badger woke up hungry, his tummy flat as a pancake. That's when Honeyguide flew by, heading for the great gray baobab. "Honey, honey, honey!" she cried, grinning. The little bird zigzagged over its large roots. Pitter-patter. Badger ran after her. Pitter-patter. Honeyguide flew low across the water-hole. Splish, splash. Badger paddled after her. Splish, splash. Honeyguide glided to the top of a termite mound and bounced on one foot. Sprung. Badger scrambled to the top and bounced off. Sprung. Honeyguide landed on a hollow log. It echoed as she stomped along. Boom, boom. Badger hurried to catch up. Boom, boom. Next, Honeyguide flitted through a stand of papyrus. Tall, dry reeds waved back and forth. Clickety-click. Badger traipsed along, muttering, "Where is that honey?" The papyrus rattled as he went by. Clickety-click. Honeyguide led him through a field of golden bristle grass. Swish, swish. Badger huffed and puffed, but the thought of the delicious meal waiting for him kept him going. Swish, swish. By now Badger was tired and wet, itchy and sore, but he didn't slow down because Honeyguide was just ahead of him. She flashed her wings, fanned her tail, and dove under an acacia tree. Badger charged in after her, singing triumphantly, "Honey, honey!" "Lion, lion, lion!" Badger turned on his tail and ran. Swish, swish through the grass, clickety-click into the papyrus, boom, boom over the hollow log, sprung over the termite mound, splish, splash across the water-hole, pitter-patter over the baobab roots. Badger dashed into his burrow. Honeyguide cheered. In a flash, Badger was as far from the entrance as he could be. Right behind him was Lion's huge paw, batting the air, but he could not reach him. And that's the closest any animal could be to an angry lion and live to tell the tale. That evening, Mongoose squeaked to Elephant, who trumpeted to Hippo, who bellowed to Warthog, who squealed to Bishop Bird, who piped to Hyena, who whooped to Zebra, who snorted to Giraffe, who was overheard by Guinea Hen, who bugled it far and wide. It was the bush telegraph, and it said, "If Honeyguide leads you to a beehive, be sure and reward her, or next time she will lead you to a lion."
Hedgie Blasts Off by Jan Brett. Read for you by Mike Ferrari.
My name is Hedgie, and I want to be an astronaut. I work at Star Lab on the cleanup crew. I've never flown on a spaceship, but I take care of the Zephyr Doppler rocket for the professor, the smartest scientist on Earth. He's in charge of outer space. Today, when I got to work, the professor looked worried.
"Hedgie, we have a problem,"
he said.
"Big Sparkler is only sending up weak bursts of sparkles. If it stops altogether, there will be no more Big Sparkler and no more flowers."
Big Sparkler is on the tiny planet of Mikop. Alien tourists love to fly over it, to watch it erupt, and to take pictures of the strange flowers that depend on the sparkles for food.
"This is an emergency, Hedgie. Call the scientists to the lab."
The scientists came in, and the professor explained the problem.
Big Sparkler is failing, he told them. We need to go to Mikop and find out what's wrong. I'd fly there in the Zeppelin, but it is too big to land on tiny Mikop. We need to build a rescue robot and a small rocket to go there.
The scientists looked at the drawings on the blackboard and went to work. I tried to help. Soon everything was ready for the launch. Reporters came by to hear about the mission. The professor explained,
Big Sparkler isn't working properly, he said. First, let me show you how it is supposed to work.